Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I am looking at CNBC right now, and this stock market is just getting pummeled. It's down over 2,000 points. They've had to put the brakes in at least once or twice, and it looks like they'll be doing it again. Now, something I do every once in a while that you probably is a very smart guy. This guy, Max Kaiser, he has his own show on this Russia Today channel, but Max Kaiser, I agree with most of what he says on the economy. He is like a guy who used to be with Goldman Sachs, and now he's very anti-central bank, anti-establishment. I think he's very correct in a lot of the things he talks when he talks about how central banks have destroyed money and how they've been just a disaster. I agree with him there. The part where I separate from Max Kaiser is when he describes everything that's going on, and then he says, "Oh, this is why this is the end for the central bankers." I think that is a very naive thought pattern. I may not like them any more than Max Kaiser does, but that doesn't mean that they're going anywhere, because they're not. The powers that be have always been the powers that be and always will be the powers that be. I'm willing to accept that, and instead of trying to create a banking revolution, create a revolution in my wallet. And that's how I've looked at this. I believe we will all be in the grave before we see the kind of revolution that he thinks is going to happen. But I do want to. He is smart about the economy, and he is right in placing the blame on the central banks. But I just wanted to explain that before I showed you this. First, from 350 to 430. Listen to this.
It's going to be difficult to buy gold. The question is, now that the music has stopped, who's got the gold? And for the last 5-10 years, we know two big players have been accumulating hundreds and hundreds of tons of gold, and that would be China and Russia. And when you add the gold held by some European countries and the IMF, they've got equal gold to what the U.S. has. So now we've got gold parity, and we've got the ability now to rework the world currency order, a new Bretton Woods. They're going to go back to gold, as they always do. I don't think the U.S. has a particularly strong hand this time, but we'll see.
Again, looking at 1920.
I believe that the U.S. has a stronger hand than anyone thinks. And I believe that the hand is called Ripple and XRP. That's just me talking. But I believe that the hand that they're going to play has been created to be beneficial to all parties, including China and Russia, if they're a part of it. I firmly believe that China's a part of it, and part of this video, I'll show you that they're a part of it. But I believe that through the IMF, the XRP has been pre-allocated. Like Brad Combs said, I believe that that's what we're talking about. But everything Max Kaiser just described is correct about what the state of the world, who's got the most gold, because this will be a gold-backed scenario, in my opinion. All right, so, and then I wanted to let you hear this part from 5:30. And I'm sure there's more in this video. This is just the parts I picked out.
Very extraordinary fiscal responses this time.
So to put this in perspective, right, you had the 1929 crash, which was followed by the Depression. In the 70s, you had a massive recession in the 1970s due to the oil shock. The oil price at that time screamed higher and caused a major recession. Then in 2008, we had the subprime crisis, and that was considered to be the greatest crisis since the Depression. And that's how they build this $750 billion TARP bailout, which became closer to $17 trillion when it was all said and done. Now in 2020, we have what would be historically considered one of the greatest financial crises of the past 150 years. And where does it fall into the category? How do you classify it? I think we're going to see a global depression. And to your point, how quickly do we get out of it? The activist Fed, the problem there is that their prescription thus far have caused the problem. So they're actually the problem. The central banks need to be removed from the equation because they are the problem.
I think the central bank.
Okay. Now, this is he what he just said is all right. Central banks are the problem. But what he doesn't understand that I think that we understand is that central banks, I showed a video a few weeks ago. The central bank, these people are, and if you watch all of the things I've been showing you, these people have created the system to bridge the old system into. Yes, it is a new Bretton Woods, but this reset is going to go into digital assets, and the central bankers have put all this in place. All of the powers that be have put this in place so that they can benefit as we roll into a new system. That is what's going on. That's how Max Kaiser is wrong. In fact, I told him just something similar to that one time on Twitter, and he immediately blocked me, so I can't even view his tweets now. Okay, Chinu Patel at Chinu Patel 29 sent me this. You've just got to watch this. This is like surreal. This tweet here, they're talking about how hilarious this is. This is the Cuomo brothers. One of the Cuomo brothers is a CNN anchor, and he's interviewing his brother, who is the governor, a governor. And they literally get in. It shows you that brothers, and I had to show. I mean, we need some levity right now. If you haven't seen this, this is just classic. You got two brothers. It shows you that brothers never stop fighting, and it hit home with me because my sons never stop fighting, and so I saw this. And I was like, wow, it just never ends, does it? So watch this. They're live on television, and you would think that they would be a little more responsible than this, but watch this. Grown men.
Curfew. I don't like the word curfew. Dad tried to have a curfew for me. I never got past the resentment, but I do believe you'll see more tightening if the numbers don't slow.
Your problems with the curfew. It's the least of your problems, just so you know.
I never fight. You violated the curfew all the time, caused much pain, but that's a different story.
I don't believe in rules. Governor Andrew Cuomo, I appreciate you coming on the show. I love you. I'm proud of what you're doing. I know you're working hard for your state, but no matter how hard you're working, there's always time to call Mom. She wants to hear from you, just so you know.
Yeah, I called Mom just before I came on this show. By the way, she said I was her favorite.
She never said that.
Good news is she said you were her second favorite son, Christopher.
We both know neither of us are Mom's first or second favorite in the family. I can't believe you're lying to my audience. You've blown the credibility of the entire interview. I should have ended it before.
Second favorite son. Listen to the words. Listen to the words.
Politicians are very tricky. You throw a word in there after the first time you said it, creates a lot of doubt. But I appreciate you clarifying.
Not me. Straight across the plate.
Stay strong.
Straight across the plate.
Stay strong.
Unbelievable. Grown men. Okay, XRP Bart sent me this. And this is from Sky News, and they're basically it's basically an article about the Bank of England. The new governor of the Bank of England is basically saying that they're about to turn on their printing presses, which does not surprise any of us at all. Okay, let me get this going here. All right. Now, this is what I really wanted to show you today, because some of you may not have put all this together. I told you in my last video that this is the IMF High-Level Advisory Group. We've shown this several times on this channel. But I told you this morning that the three key fintech companies that are a part of this, that are going to be a part of this global reset, is, first of all, Jeremy Allaire Circle. This is one that's backed by Goldman Sachs. Then you've got Chris Larson, executive chairman from Ripple. And then you have Blythe Masters, board member, Digital Asset. Well, I've shown you all about Ripple and who owns Ripple and who's on the board and all that. Well, let's go over the other two and see how they might relate to Ripple. I wanted to just go through this. So this is Circle, all right? Circle, I believe, is going to be I believe they're really going to do something with this USDC coin that they have. But I believe Circle is going to be in the mix. They've got a representative at the IMF. They're going to be in the mix. I showed you a video with Jeremy Allaire with Christine Lagarde on stage. These guys are going to be in play. Now, I want to show you who some of their investors are. All right, it's new investors. Goldman Sachs, China-based IDG Capital Partners. We're joined by all of Circle's existing investors, including Briar Capital, General Catalyst Partners, Excel Partners, Oak Investment Partners, Digital Currency Group, who remember, Digital Currency Group also owns part of Coinbase as well as Ripple. Okay, so I mean, they're all these things are working together. Okay, now I wanted to show you, focus on this one and Breyer Capital, because Jim Breyer is on the board of directors of Circle. Okay, so let's look at him. We've shown you him before. You know who he is, because the IDG Capital is also an investor in Ripple, which I'll show you. But this is what I've shown you before. In 2005, he helped establish a joint venture between Excel Partners and China-based IDG Partners, a pioneering Chinese investment firm behind Baidu and Tencent. So anyway, the point is that Breyer is very connected in China, and this is how they got China involved in the game on this. And then if you look here, this is from his Breyer Capital website. His funds, IDG Capital, is one of his funds. All right. And then, as we've shown you before, Ripple Labs raises $28 million from IDG Capital Partners. So IDG, that group from China, is a part of investing in Ripple as well. And then these are some of the other investors in Ripple that we've talked about many times. Okay. And then you've got Digital Asset. I think they're known as Digital Asset Holdings. Well, Digital Asset Holdings, I've shown you their investors before. DTCC is on that list. Goldman Sachs, Santander, who's also an investor in Ripple. PNC Bank was Ripple's first live customer. JP Morgan, Citigroup, CME Group, also an investor in Ripple. Accenture, also an investor in Ripple. BNB Paribas. So you see how this all lines up? So here's the board of Digital Asset Holdings. This is their board, right? The first guy on the list is the one we want to focus on. His name is Michael Bodson. Well, who is Michael Bodson? Michael Bodson is the CEO of DTCC. DTCC is major. He also, by the way, used to be the managing director, global head of operations for Morgan Stanley. You must take note of that. DTCC is one of the most important companies in this whole thing. They're an American post-trade financial services company providing clearing and settlement services to financial markets. But here's where the rubber really meets the road. In 2011, DTCC settled the vast majority of securities transactions in the United States, and close to $1.7 quadrillion in value worldwide, making it by far the highest value processor in the world. So you can see how they're so important. Now, make sure you're aware of that. I'm going to drive this point home. DTCC board of directors, Michael Bodson, that's the guy that we just showed you, who's on the board at Digital Asset Holdings, right? Look at the company, the people that are on DTCC's board. We've probably shown you this before, but BNB Paribas, Intercontinental Exchange, which owns Bakkt, right? JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, UBS, State Street, we know that name, Morgan Stanley, Barclays, New York Mellon, BNY Mellon, we know that one, don't we? Bank of America, Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis. So there you go. The whole world, the whole traditional financial world is involved with Ripple, Circle, and Digital Asset. And I would throw Coinbase in there as well. I just think they serve a different role. Okay, so these are the big. Now I want to talk to you about something serious. This article here says it's staggering how many, related layoffs have already happened. Today, Steve Mnuchin kind of let it slip that he thought that we could be looking at 20% unemployment rate in the United States. That is downright scary. Many of you listening to my voice right now either are going to be laid off or have been laid off. And this is what I want you to listen and listen good, because I had Blake from iTrustCapital put a chart together to illustrate for you, for those of you that get laid off, if you have a 401k, you've got to roll it somewhere. You could roll a portion of it to a traditional financial company, or you could roll some to an iTrustCapital IRA. Before I go into this, I want to remind you, in the description of all of my videos, we've got a coupon code from iTrustCapital that you can get 1 month for free. And here's what the deal is. Their IRA allows you to invest directly in XRP and some other digital assets like Bitcoin as well. I think it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe Litecoin. But this platform allows you to do that, and it's the most inexpensive way to do it that I have found. Now, let's look at this chart. And this is going to be a real eye-opener for a lot of you. Let's say that you had this chart. Really, before I go through the chart, I'm going to pull this back up. Before I go through that chart, I want to give you a few things about like caveats here. And I'm going to read Blake Skadron had provided this information to me. It says this chart is based on long-term capital gains, which are position held over 1 year. Short-term capital gains positions held less than 1 year are taxed as ordinary income. Top federal bracket 37% plus state tax where it applies. In addition to federal capital gains tax, depending on the state you live in, there could also be a state tax. This is typically the same as ordinary income tax, 0 to 13% on the top 20%. Gains in a Roth IRA can be distributed tax-free as long as you are over 59.5 and the account has been established for 5 years. You can always sell into a USD position with an IRA without creating a taxable event. For those who are not yet 59.5, they can sell for profit and leave the funds in the IRA without paying any taxes. An IRA is also great for traders because it avoids taxes on gains made on each trade. So a trader could trade inside of an IRA without dealing with taxes at all. Okay, so now let's look at this chart, and this is going to blow. No, and also before I go into this chart, I want you to all understand these are all hypothetical numbers. Okay, so I'm not saying by showing you this that XRP is going to go to these heights or anything like that. I'm just showing you what would happen from a tax perspective if you were making those gains in one of these IRAs on iTrustCapital instead of on, say, like Coinbase on a taxable account. All right, here we go. So up here at the top, invest. This is we're pretending that you invested $10,000. You bought XRP at 20 cents. So you've got 50,000 XRP. Hold on, I'm going to start this. Sorry, I had a little computer glitch there. Okay, so let's get going on this. Investment, this is a hypothetical. You've invested $10,000 in, let's say, on Coinbase in a taxable account. You bought $10,000 worth of XRP at 20 cents, so you got 50,000 XRP, and then you end up selling at $10. You've got $490,000 in gains. The federal tax, and again, these tax rates are hypothetical, but they would apply to you, some tax rate that's in this ballpark. 20% federal tax, you'll owe $98,000 in taxes, and then you might have an additional 0 to 13% in state tax. So same 10,000 invested, you buy at 20 cents, you got 50,000 XRP, you sell at $50 in XRP. You've got $2.49 million in gains. At 20% tax rate, you owe $498,000 in taxes. And you can see how it tiers up. Let's do the investment amount at $25,000 invested in XRP at 20 cents, 125,000 XRP. You sell at $10. You've got $1.225 million in gains. You're taxed $245,000, right? Now, let's go down here. And now we're pretending you invested $50,000. Still, we're on a taxable account. $50,000, I'm going to take this row here. $50,000 you bought at 20 cents. You've got 250,000 XRP. You sell at 100. You got $24.95 million in gains. You're going to be taxed just federally $4.99 million in taxes. Okay. Now he did a just for fun. $50,000 invested at 20 cents. You got 250,000 XRP. You sell at $1,000. This is for those of us that really have big, high hopes for XRP. You've got $249.95 million in gains. Federal taxes owed at a 20% rate is $49.99 million. Now, this is where it gets fun, folks, because those of you that either have opened or will open an iTrustCapital IRA like I did, this is where it gets fun. I've got an iTrustCapital Roth IRA. I think just about anybody under a certain age can open a Roth IRA. Let's say you've got 10,000 invested in at 20 cents. You got 50,000 XRP. You sell at 50. You've got $2.49 million in gains. The federal tax rate is 0. The additional state tax rate is 0. Let's say you invest 25,000 in that Roth IRA. You buy 20 at 20 cents, 125,000 XRP. $100 is when you sell. You've got $12.475 million in gains. You pay 0 federal taxes. You pay 0 state taxes. Let's say you invested $50,000 in one of these IRAs. You buy 20 cents XRP, 250,000 XRP, and you sell at $1,000. You have gains of $249.95 million, folks, in your Roth IRA at iTrustCapital. Your federal tax rate is 0%, $0, 0% state tax. You pay no taxes on it in that Roth IRA. This is my new exit strategy. This is what I set up for myself, any of you, and I hate that anybody out there is getting laid off, but if you did, you talk about a lifeline. If I'm right about digital assets, and even if you don't believe that XRP is the one, even if you're a Bitcoin person and you're a believer in what Bitcoin is going to do, you can buy that in this. And by the way, they use institutional cold storage. So when you buy a digital asset, iTrustCapital never touches your digital asset. It's bought and it's sent directly to Curve, which does the custody and stores at the institutional security grade level, stores your digital assets. This is where everything's going anyway. Okay, you just had to see that. And by the way, look in the description of all of my videos. If you want to get if you want to open an iTrustCapital account from just a brand new account, or if you want to roll, if you're getting laid off, or if you're not getting laid off, I think you can roll. I know you can roll from your 401k either fully or partially into an iTrustCapital IRA. And it's not just Roth IRAs they do regular IRAs as well. Okay, and also before I forget, they're still running the sale on ledgers, and this is also in the description of all of my videos. They're running, you can get as much as, they've got 2,048 chances for you to get a 20 to 25% discount. So go check that out. And finally, I wanted to make y'all aware, Brady Niels, because of what's going on, he is doing a virtual New York City XRP meetup, and he's going to be doing it on Google Hangouts, and you can all be a part of it. If you go to, it looks like he's doing it on March the 31st, Tuesday, March the 31st. So go check this out. He's got it in his Twitter feed, I believe, right here. So you can go and be a part of that if you want to. Who knows? I might pop in there. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that I hope they have not been laid off. But if they were, this is the most inexpensive way to possibly have a life changer in these wild and crazy times we're in. I believe it's going to be a life changer. Thank you for listening.